Guitar Business Radio is the podcast for the business of guitar, where you'll always get no reviews, no demos, and no idle chatter. From players to CEOs and in between. If you have a professional or business connection to the world of guitar, this show is your window to insight and information you won't get anywhere else. I'm Jeffrey D. Brown, and I approve this message. So let's get to it. From Guitar Business Media, welcome to the 71st episode of GBR, the show that offers you a choice between in-depth, detailed, long-form interviews with extraordinary players and industry people who discuss their experience in the business of guitar. We take a serious and thoughtful approach to bring you shows that don't waste your time with a lot of idle chatter and tight production values that combine a little old-school radio with modern-day technology that's designed to give you, our listener, the best possible experience. At the same time, you can now choose an additional GBR experience that focuses squarely on companies, brands, and products with the same quality and thoughtfulness you've come to expect from GBR over the last year and a half. Of course, I'm talking about GBR Focus, our newest podcast, where you find a lot of familiar surroundings and similarities, but completely different content. Now, during our first year of producing Guitar Business Radio, we had a number of folks approach us wanting to come on the show and talk about their products or services or the virtues of their company or organization. Unfortunately, we generally had to pass on it because it's just not what we do on that show. But we've never lost sight of that interest, and I thought, maybe the time is right to approach it with a different vehicle that would still have a close connection to our original podcast. Now, it wasn't hard to come up with the name of the show, GBR Focus. That's what we do on every episode, and like Guitar Business Radio, GBR Focus also brings diversity to our listeners. That's what we want. And as I've said before, our goal is always to produce shows that generate the maximum allowable value for our listeners. That should be referred to as the MAV, not to be confused with MAP, MSRP, MPG, or any other acronym. So, this week, most of our production time went into producing and releasing a brand new GBR Focus episode that's available right now. The episode is titled Focus on Ciari Guitar's Ascender. And in this 30-minute show, we talk in depth with Ciari Guitar's founder, Jonathan Spangler, about the upcoming rollout of their new premium travel guitar, the Ascender. Now, I realize that this may not be for everyone, but even if you never travel, this instrument is like no other travel guitar I've ever seen, and I've seen quite a few. The guitar utilizes a unique patented mechanism that actually folds the neck backwards at the 12th fret, and it does this while keeping the strings in place in a unique way. You have to see it to appreciate it, but the cool thing is that you can actually store the guitar legitimately under the seat in front of you if you're flying, and other places as well. Go into a backpack while you're water skiing or whatever. But while this might be the most expensive travel guitar I've ever seen, well, it's a top-notch professional instrument that can be of use in many different circumstances. Now, I mentioned the fact that it has a patented part, and one of the things that I discovered was that Jonathan Spangler is not only a guitar player and an enthusiast, well, he also happens to be a patent attorney. So his story about how all this came about is really quite interesting. So I would just encourage you to head over to gbrfocus.com and take a listen to this new episode. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on it, so do that. Now, at the risk of repeating myself, which, as you probably know, is something we have to do in marketing on a regular basis, well, I want to update you just a bit on our new official show sponsor program, which is available to anyone starting at like $2 a month. And by the way, just so you know, you can cancel anytime. We hope that you don't, but hey, it happens. And just knowing that should give you a little peace of mind. So why are we doing this? Well, here's a hint. It's not with the expectation of getting rich from it, that's for sure. Some of you may remember a few things I've said on the subject of expectations, the perils of the expectation game. Better to operate in the expectancy of the best possible result, whatever that is, which again is why it's so important to keep all those options open. If you ever get to the end of the show, you'll know exactly what I mean. But we have the same issues that many other podcasters have. This takes a lot of time, costs a decent sum of money the way we do it, and we produce a high-quality product. There's no way around it. So our hope is that we can convince some of you to support the show, but not just because you like it or because you like me, but because we're also giving you something in return for your support. That's in addition to the useful and engaging content we deliver on a regular basis. There are some real benefits for being an official show sponsor at any level, and you can check those out. So while I previously said that there's not something for everyone in this program, there is an official show sponsor opportunity for literally any budget. And look, every dollar counts. Every dollar makes a difference. More dollars make a bigger difference, but in our view, each show sponsor is just as important to us as the next. You can count on that. So if you like what we're doing, if you get value from GBR in one form or another, then we hope you'll consider becoming an official show sponsor. It's really easy. Now, we're using Patreon to administer this program. Some of you are probably quite familiar with it. And this is because they have all of the tools and components right there to do exactly what we wanted to do. Some of you may already be using the platform, so it won't be new to you. But for the rest of you, I can assure you, it's about as easy as it gets. So if I've caused you to be interested, even in a small way, then take a look at the program at patreon.com/guitarbusiness. That's patreon.com/guitarbusiness. There's also links all over the GBR website. If you have any questions at all, you should know how to reach us by now. We'd love to hear from you. So this week's episode is a bit different. As usual, we always want to hear from you, and you can do that easily through the official episode page on our website at guitarbusinessradio.com or on Facebook and Twitter at Guitar Business. Or just email us directly at contact@guitarbusinessradio.com. And as I've said many times, like every week, if none of that works for you, just call us on our GBR hotline, 888-777-2404. Love that number. You can do that right now if you like, or later. Operators are currently standing on their heads. I have no idea why, but if you call right now, we can possibly avoid an impending disaster. Now, just to give you a heads up, during this summer, we have all kinds of scheduling issues to deal with, but I've always promised a weekly show, and barring some kind of unprecedented disaster, we'll always keep that promise and do our best to deliver value in one form or another. I think that's important. And we have some great guests lined up for future shows, but I've always been candid with you about the fact that booking these guests is often the most time-consuming part of the process. That's not to say that producing the show doesn't take time. It does, but at least it's a known quantity. We know what it takes under most circumstances, and that makes it easier to plan for it. On the booking side, well, since we don't have a dedicated person to do that, and I'm not opposed to that, I've said that before, we just don't have it. So it's an unpredictable thing. Bottom line, sometimes we just have to go with the flow. Not coining a phrase or anything, but that's truly the way most things have to work, especially when you're dealing with variable components. And maybe that sounds a bit technical, variable components, but really it isn't. And I just do my best to reinforce that idea every time when I say, stay positive, stay focused on your destination, but here's the kicker. Keep all the options open on how you're going to get there. Thanks for listening. I'll see you again next week on episode 72. And that's it for this episode of Guitar Business Radio. Thanks for being with us. You can stay tuned and stay in touch at guitarbusinessradio.com.